What's going on, y'all? I'm here to talk about the really cool buffs and changes I've made to Screamtail for my ROM hack, Pokemon Scrambled Scarlet. So if you're new here and you're looking at this, I promise first of all, I'll explain the type change in just a second, but for now you can also read the top little disclaimer thing that I have that'll explain some of the, I guess, weirder quote-unquote type changes. Although, I mean, as I'll get into, I think this makes a lot more sense than what they were. Uh, but a bunch of the other stuff that you are, because this is probably a lot of overwhelming information if you're new here, right? If this is your first video of mine. So first of all, shout out to you. I appreciate you. Leave a comment down below if you're new here. Also leave a comment down below if you're returning. And also if you aren't subscribed already, make sure you are. I am trying to hit 2,000 at the time of uploading this. Hopefully by the time you're listening to this, I am. If you're listening to this months and months down the line, we'll see. But yeah, so here is a quick flash of how Wigglytuff is. You can check them out in their own video for a much more in-depth analysis for how they work. I will be briefly comparing the two in this video, but mostly if you want like actual details on Wigglytuff, you should be watching that video too. Um, but yeah, now Screamtail does evolve. All right, Screamtail does evolve. Sorry, Jigglypuff evolves from Screamtail is what I'm trying to say. So basically, you can choose between Wigglytuff or Screamtail, and the way I balanced Wigglytuff and Screamtail is that the choice is still a genuine one. It's not, oh my god, Screamtail is just better. Although Screamtail does evolve 10 levels later than Wigglytuff. Like you get them 10 levels later. I mean, it's mostly for flavor. I mean, partially for balance, I guess, but mostly for flavor. And keeping Jigglypuff up until level 45 is extremely easy now that they have much better stats and abilities and all that. Um, as you can see, 115, 45, 95 bulk with Fluffy and huge power and amplifier. I mean, that's incredible. Definitely not a problem at all to keep it to level 45. Honestly, I said this in the Jigglypuff video, but you could even keep Jigglypuff if you really wanted to. You totally could. But yeah, with all that being said, Screamtail, very dark type. So I chose this typing for it because personally, I first of all, I don't think Psychic type makes much sense for it at all. You can be like, oh well, it floats in game. It's not floating with psychic power. It's just, I mean, that's just what Wigglytuff and Jigglypuff do. They float around. They're like a balloon. They're super light. So that doesn't make any sense. They're pink, I guess, but that also fits fairy type, so that doesn't make any sense. I don't know. There's just nothing. There's nothing psychic about them. Like, there's no Pokedex entries to go off of. So I guess the fact that they're psychic implies that they have psychic powers in ancient times. I don't know. It's fucking weird and kind of stupid in my opinion. I don't like it very much. Also, the main reason is because there are just so goddamn many fairy psychic types in this ROM hack that I have to balance around each other in terms of ability slots and other stuff like that. Um, Technically, the only thing I would have to change here would be Pixelate, because I would overlap with Gardevoir, but the other ones are fine. Like Photosynthesis Huge Power has no overlap in terms of fairy psychics, but it's just number one, it's a way less interesting type combo. It's way less unique, and I do genuinely think Dark fits better. It's not just me saying that. Like, you can disagree with me if you want, but I genuinely do think it does fit better. I don't think this thing has much reason to be Psychic type to begin with, and I hate to be that guy who uses the level up move argument for type changes because personally it's kind of fucking stupid. Because like if something wanted to be if Game Freak made something a certain type, they would give it more moves of that type. So I'm not using this as like a be-all end-all argument. I'm just using it as an additive, like a part of a larger argument. I'm just saying, if you look at that level up move pool, I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like, this is kind of wild. Like, why is it psychic type? I don't know, man. I mean, it gets tons of TMs, but like tons of shit gets TMs, so it doesn't really mean that much. Um, and all the psychic TMs are like basic. Like half of these are like moves that most mons can get that aren't trick, rest, imprison, shit like that. In calm mind. That doesn't fucking mean psychic type. And if they weren't psychic type, they wouldn't get like at least a couple of these moves. So anyway, that's why I removed Psychic type. Okay, it's a lot less interesting of a type combo for me in this ROM hack. There's a lot of other Psychic fairies, so this is more unique, and it does fit much better. They're all about being. So if you're wondering why Dark specifically, I mean the whole point of Screamtail is it's kind of like an evil Jigglypuff. It's like an angry, mean Jigglypuff, right? It's much more aggressive. It screams first of all, which is also why I give it like Pixelate Boom Burst. I wanted to give it a sound-related ability, and Amplifier is pretty ass on them with their move pool, so I ended up with Pixelate. Don't hyperfixate on the like. Pixelate Boom Burst is cool, but so is Huge Power, and so is Photosynthesis, and so is Utility. I mean, this thing is multi-dimensional, and even in normal games, let alone now. So people who like Utility Screamtail, don't worry, it's still got great utility. I mean, its bulk is untouched, first of all, and it also just has more utility moves now. So Pokemon aren't one-dimensional is my point. Just because it has Huge Power and Pixelate, oh my goodness, it's so strong. Yes, it is stronger. It's much less passive. In competitive, this thing would be crazy because it's so fast and strong and bulky at the same time. You can't, in real games you should not be all three of those at once. But in this context, it's totally fine. Tons of offensive Pokemon have great utility in this game. Tons of utility Pokemon or bulky Pokemon are also super strong. Some of them can be fast now too. Whatever. Everything's reimagined and reworked entirely. Doesn't mean, Screamtail's obviously great. I'm not trying to like downplay it, how good and unique. It is very versatile, but so is everything else, is my point. Photosynthesis is, I would say, the main use case you would use photosynthesis for is for speed or in weather. Because booster attack, booster special attack that's not bad either. It's not bad either. If you need a specific special attack boost and you can't run Life Orb because of item clause or some shit, and you can't run specs because I don't know, whatever. If you need a specific range, sure. But the main use of photosynthesis on this thing, outside of running it in the sun, which obviously then you can boost whatever you want for free. But if you're running booster, I would only run it for speed, and then run, of course, a special attacking or utility set with booster speed. With your EVs, you can cook with your EV spread whenever you get custom EVs, all that shit. You can change your EVs for each boss fight, change your move entirely. This guy loves that. Being a mixed attacker in this game is incredible because you have access to infinite move relearner and infinite EV training items and ability changing capsules. So that's all great for Screamtail. Yeah, and also last thing about the type combo on the top, as you see it, I mentioned other combos that people might suggest. I think those are kind of dumb. Like, fighting is like the next best option. I would say fighting still kind of fits more than psychic, but fighting is kind of pointless and lame to me when Valiant exists, and also Scrambled exists, and there's also a decent amount of Fairy Darks now, but I don't know. I think Fairy Dark fits way better than fighting, and then Ground is like, sure, if it's just about as much as fucking Psychic, I guess, but I don't know. I don't really buy it personally. I think it's kind of silly. I think Dark is by far like just the most rational choice for them in terms of their flavor and their design. Some people have even like alluded to them being a vampire. I don't know if I see the vision there personally, but I can kind of see it. I don't think you need to stretch that far to make them fit Dark type, though. I think they just fit inherently based off of their concept of what type of creature they are, especially just being that it's a form of Jigglypuff that is more primal, more angry, more aggressive, And then some people, I know somebody in the comments, I probably should have said this earlier, somebody in the comments can be like, oh, well, all the Paradox Pokemon are, all the future ones are made of metal for the most part, and all the primal ones are more aggressive for the most part, so why not all of them be Dark and Steel type? And you would be right on paper, but I'm not doing that. I'm not making them all Dark type. It's just that Screamtail doesn't have much going on other than the fact that it's angry Jigglypuff. The other ones have much more interesting shit to make them interesting, more fitting type combos. This guy doesn't. Unless he has more deck centrics talking about the psychic powers, then sure. But even then, I don't know, man. Even like none of their decks talks about the psychic powers. So, yeah. And their level ups don't either. And again, I don't like using that argument, but I think in this case it actually is a valid one because it's like so barren, and they made it a psychic type, so clearly I don't know, it's fucking stupid. Anyway, enough about the combo. Alright, I don't want to hyperfixate on that because there's so many cool things going on with the way this thing plays. So, advantages of Wigglytuff versus this thing. So, Wigglytuff is physically stronger with huge power. It's 150 base equivalent versus, I believe, 135 base equivalent, so that's worth noting, obviously. Of course, Screamtail is much faster. Fairy Dark versus Fairy Normal has its own unique strengths and weaknesses. I talk about this more in the Wigglytuff video, but Wigglytuff's normal typing cheese is Rhyme. Wigglytuff also gets exclusive Holdback, which is an incredibly powerful, cheesy, priority boosting move, flinch move, incredibly, riskless, free attack boost, basically, not to mention its power. It's very, very, very strong, okay? And then Wigglytuff is also significantly bulkier with Fluffy, and just its giant HP stat, making its special defense much, much higher effectively. Not that 115 is bad, because it's not. As we all know, it's very, very, very fat. But Wigglytuff is even fatter. So those are the pros and cons. Of course, there's other things, Psychic immunity versus Ghost immunity. Based on your teammates, you might want to pick one or the other. If you already have a normal type and you don't have any Psychic immunities, maybe you'd want the Screamtail. Whatever it is, it's up to your personal preferences. If you want a faster offensive guy that can be utility, you can do that. If you want a bulkier one, you do Wigglytuff. If you like Screamtail's design more, you pick that. If you like Wigglytuff's design more, you pick that. Point is, they're very even. Despite what you might think based on just the stat total or the fact that they evolved 10 levels later. Screamtail, great utility. So obviously basic shit like Encore, Disable. You've got heal moves like Wish and Moonlight. You've got Sing, which is really fast off the 111 speed, so you can run Wide Lens to get a fast sleep, which is consistent, always lasts for 2 turns. Deflate is a nice little priority exclusive heal move. Battle Cry is great. They also get exclusive Stealth Rock. If you've noticed an earlier, I'm getting a random phone call. 631 number. I don't know what that area code is. All right, let's close that. All right. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, back on topic of the Screamtail. So Roar Throat Spray is also fucking great because Roar is a single use priority move now, 1 PP. So you get a free special attack boost basically with Roar Throat Spray. So if you get like a plus speed Screamtail, you're going crazy with that. But that's in general you're going crazy if you get the lucky plus speed nature, because then you outspeed like 111 with 20, and then neutral nature you're only hitting 310, which is like not that fast if you're outspeeding the AI. Because AI is hitting 92. You only outspeed 90 and below, 91 and below with a neutral speed nature Screamtail. And then of course if you get plus speed, then you're much faster. Then you're hitting, 341, which is like 108, 106, 105. So yeah, the IVs also make a difference because you're guaranteed 20 IVs, not 31 anymore. For balance reasons and stuff. But yeah, it's quick still. Again, though, that's why I would say Photosynthesis with the speed boost is really good because it's like Scarf, but you can switch moves basically, right? So that's really useful with utility sets or special attacking sets to get that speed boost. But yeah, Stealth Rock is an SL exclusive option. That's a level up only now. I changed it from a TM because I think limiting the distribution is cooler for in-game because it's kind of cheesy versus AI in my opinion. It's not like it's very cheesy because it just gives you free sash cheese, which is like sash is one of the biggest stopping forces versus AI or versus the player. So yeah, cheesing that for free is kind of lame on everything, but now less stuff gets it, so it's cooler. I like it as an exclusive type of tool. And I see them using it as like another primal little guy, because they get it normally. So yeah, Night Burst, priority, Befuddle, Pixie Dust, all priority moves. You got Sucker Punch, also even coverage priority like Shockwave. And First Impression with huge power is really nice. Battle Cry is incredible because you're so fast and tanky that drops attack and special attack by -2. So you got great utility there. Roar obviously is good, not only for the boost Throat Spray strat. You could also do like Roar Throat Spray or Boom Burst. Throat Spray is obviously very good, but again, I would probably say, Boom Burst Pixelate is great with Scarf, or you can run Photosynthesis plus like a different, with just Moonblast or whatever else you want to run instead, or Night Days, Photosynthesis speed boost. So I would consider Photosynthesis more of a speed boosting ability outside of, weather, like I said earlier, and then you've got attack and I guess technically a special attack one with Pixelate. Until you get Boom Burst at 58, you have Hyper Voice. Hyper Voice is 114, Boom Burst is 144 now with Pixelate. Because Boom Burst is quote unquote is nerfed because of the distribution of it and stuff now. It's much higher, so just gotta drop. I don't like a 140 power move with no dropbacks unless it's like extremely limited. But yeah, it's got Pixelate, so it gets stab on now, so it's obviously much better. And you could even, if you RNG Terra normal, you could do that with like Proto Speed or some funny shit, but that's, not where, Terra has infinite applications, so yeah, Night Days, it's funny, I had a whole back and forth in the DMs about whether or not I should give it Night Days, and I was like, I don't see it, and it was a whole fucking argument, and it's like, nobody's even gonna think twice about it, but yeah, it's a special wicked blow, if you're wondering. It can't be used twice in a row, so you can't like spam Scarf Night Days, but Photosynthesis booster speed Night Days is really good because you can click Night Days and then click a different move, a different coverage move or whatever you want to do. So that's really good. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. Meteor Beam is obviously really fun and cool with like with Power Herb. You've got tons of great coverage on the physical side. Temper Flare. I'm not going to list every single one, but Temper Flare is 120 overall with the crit effect considered. Play Rough is very reliable, 100 base power, 20% recoil. Soul Crush is also a wicked blow variant. However, that again cannot be used twice in a row, so you can't do like Scarf huge power Soul Crush and spam that. You have to switch out. But Photosynthesis, actually no, that doesn't work because then you only have 45 attack. Never mind, forget that part. But yeah, huge power Scarf Soul Crush gets you like 1 kill, then you have to switch out. And you can always come back in and do it again, but you gotta pivot around at that point. So yeah. I don't know what else to say. Parting Shot, very fitting, especially on Screamtail. I'm not even going to try I don't think I even need to explain why. I think it fits very, very, very well. So very good utility there with that Parting Shot. Again, tons of other great utility moves I haven't even covered, like Tickle, Fake Tears, Debuffing, Crap, Battle Cry, I already covered a bit. Encore, Disable, all that shit is really good, okay? So very good utility Pokemon still, doesn't have to be used offensively. The whole point is you're switching up which set you're running depending on the boss fight, right? In terms of physical Dark Stab, you got like Health Thrust, which is the same thing as Play Rough, but fighting Dark type, excuse me. You got Takedown, which is the same thing, but fighting type. You've got Wild Charge, which I gave because Wigglytuff and Jigglypuff get it. Supercell Slam, same thing, I believe they get it. Actually, it fits though. If they get Wild Charge, they can get Supercell Slam on this type of guy. I can see them using it. Tons of great coverage. I'm not going to list every single one because I would be here forever. but you can, I mean, especially with these guys, because they just naturally get so much damn coverage. But you can read. I trust that you can read and look at it all. And then, of course, you've got the ultimate coverage move, which is Ancient Force. However, the downside, there's an obvious downside to Ancient Force, which is that it takes up your item slot. So, yes, you get a coverage move of any type, but you can't run Scarf, you can't run a defensive item, you can't run a utility item, you can't run anything. No Quick Claw, nothing. So, it's situational, especially because their move pool's already really good. They already get coverage, but for certain situations, if you want like a rock move or some shit, outside of Rock Tomb, you're gonna have to use Ancient Force for a certain boss fight if you need it. So niche, which is why it's level 52, it's actually, that's why it's there. It's relatively early on, to be honest. Boomburst, in terms of levels, 58. You have access to it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 boss fights out of the 46 or 47 in the game, something like that. So, about the last quarter of the game, the end game, you'll have Boomburst for, and Soul Crush similar, very very strong. That's about it. I mean, even other speed boosting options like Trailblaze and Ice Spinner, which I gave because Wigglytuff gets Trailblaze and Ice Spinner naturally, so therefore Screamtail has to get them too, because they evolved from them now. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I could cover, other great debuffing moves like Dismal Cry, Disarming Voice on a fast Pokemon are great. You deal a little bit of chip, you drop their stats, although probably better off going for Battle Cry in most situations. It depends. Tons of freedom, again, with that move relander. So tons of fun ways you can build this guy. Overall, very fun Pokemon. Thank you for listening. Let me know if you made it to the end. And if you haven't checked out the Wigglytuff video yet, make sure you do that. And check out all my other videos now as well. And also, if you made it to the end, shout out to you and leave a comment down below if you did. Peace.